Every dawn is a battlefield. Some wake up with hunger, others with despair. Most waste the morning, the most powerful weapon of a man's life. Today, we will confront this weakness. We will rip apart the illusion that tomorrow is promised, because the truth is ruthless, every day is a gift, and only the wise know how to use it. Listen carefully. There is one truth that no man, no king, no empire has ever escaped at time is ruthless. It moves forward with no mercy, no pity, no hesitation. Every second that passes is a soldier marching away from you, never to return. And yet, most people behave as though they have eternity to waste. They act as if tomorrow is written in their contract, as if life owes them another sunrise, another chance, another moment. But life signs no contract. Death owes you no explanation. When you open your eyes in the morning, do not take that moment for granted. Do not treat it as casual, as though the universe owes you this gift. Understand what it truly is, an act of mercy. You have been given another opportunity, another chance to fight, another chance to conquer, another chance to bend the day to your will. Yet, most squander this gift. They wake up late, scroll endlessly, and drag their feet as if they are prisoners of their own lives. And that, right there, is the greatest tragedy. Because each morning wasted is not just a lost hour. It is a piece of your life carved away, never to be recovered. You are not merely losing time, you are losing yourself. Time does not care if you are rich or poor. It does not care if you are kind or cruel. It does not care about your excuses, your stories, your pain. It devours kings and peasants alike. Look at history. Empires once so powerful, nations that believed they would last forever, rulers who thought themselves untouchable, all of them fell, consumed by the ruthless passage of time. If time can devour them, what makes you think it will spare you? The problem is that we treat time as infinite, when in reality it is bleeding out of us every moment. Imagine an hourglass flipped the moment you were born. Sand constantly falling, grain after grain, unstoppable. You do not know how much sand remains, and you cannot turn the glass back over. Yet, instead of treating each grain as sacred, most let it slip by while they are distracted, complacent, or lazy. And then one day they look up and realize the glass is nearly empty and regret sets in. But regret is a chain that only tightens when time runs out. The man who understands the ruthlessness of time becomes dangerous because he wastes nothing. He knows mornings are not ordinary, they are sacred ground. He knows that how he begins his day determines the war of his life. He does not rise slowly, dragging himself into the day like a prisoner walking to execution. No, he rises with urgency, with fire, with clarity, because he knows the clock is not his friend. It is his fiercest rival. Think of the men and women who have built legacies, who have carved their names into history. They did not waste mornings, they did not wake without intention. They understood that time is both their greatest weapon and their greatest threat. If they hesitated, they would lose it. If they delayed, they would forfeit it. And so they struck quickly, they acted with precision. They moved as though death was chasing them, because it was. You see, people talk about motivation as if it's some luxury. They say, I don't feel motivated today. Let me tell you the truth, motivation is irrelevant. Time is still moving, death is still approaching, the sand is still falling in that hourglass, whether you feel inspired or not. So you can either rise and fight, or you can lie there and surrender. But either way, time will take its payment. Let me ask you this, how many mornings have you wasted? How many times have you said, I'll start tomorrow? How many times have you snoozed the alarm, knowing that while you slept, someone else was rising, someone else was training, someone else was building? Someone else was taking what could have been yours. Do you not see? Every delay is a defeat. Every wasted morning is an enemy victory. Life is short. That is not a poetic phrase. That is not an inspirational quote to put on a poster. It is a brutal reality. You are running out of days, running out of chances, running out of time. And if you continue to live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, you will die with regret as your only companion. So I tell you this, treat each morning as if it could be your last, because one day you will be right. Wake with urgency, wake with hunger, wake with the fire of a warrior who knows he is fighting his final battle, because the truth is you are. None of us knows when the last sunrise will arrive. None of us know how many grains of sand remain, but we do know this: every morning wasted brings you closer to the end. Every morning seized brings you closer to power. Time is ruthless. It will not wait for you. It will not slow down for you. It will not pause while you figure your life out. It marches on, unstoppable, merciless, devouring all in its path. You can either fear it or you can use it. You can either let it crush you or you can weaponize it. That choice is yours, but understand this, you will not escape it. And so, the question is not whether time will win, it always does. The question is whether you will rise each morning and take as much from life as you can before the clock runs out, whether you will wake with purpose, or whether you will sleepwalk toward the grave, because life is short, time is ruthless, and every morning the war begins again. Purpose, that word has been dressed in flowers, painted with soft colors, and wrapped in sentimental illusions. The world whispers to you that purpose is about dreams, about following your heart, about waiting until inspiration arrives like a gentle wind. But that is a lie told to keep you weak. Purpose is not poetry. Purpose is strategy. It is not about waiting for destiny to find you. It is about seizing destiny by the throat and forcing it to obey. Do you think generals march into battle with poems in their hands? Do you think kings built empires by sitting and waiting for their hearts to guide them? No, they drew plans. They studied enemies, they sharpened their weapons, they plotted their moves, they crafted their strategies, and then they executed with precision. That is the purpose. Not a daydream, not a wish, a weapon. The tragedy of modern life is that most people treat purpose as a luxury. They say, I'll find my purpose someday. Someday. Someday is a lie invented by the weak. Someday is a comfortable excuse to do nothing today. And while you wait for your so-called inspiration, life devours you, time consumes you, and opportunities are stolen from your hands by those who did not wait. Purpose is not something you find, it is something you build brick by brick. Decision by decision, sacrifice by sacrifice, it is constructed the same way fortresses are built, not overnight, but through relentless work, through calculated design, through refusal to surrender. And if you wake each morning without knowing why you rise, then you are already defeated. A soldier without orders is just a man waiting to be slaughtered. And that is how most live, wandering, aimless, obedient to circumstance, enslaved to chance. But a man with purpose is dangerous. A woman with purpose is unstoppable. They do not ask, what do I feel like doing today? They ask, what must I do today to advance my mission? Do you see the difference? Feelings are fleeting. Purpose is fixed. Feelings make you a slave. Purpose makes you a master. Every morning, you must ask yourself, what is my campaign? What is my conquest? What am I building? If you cannot answer, then your life is already slipping into the hands of others who have written their plans more clearly than you. Look around. Those who rise in power, those who dominate industries, those who rule nations, they all share one trait: their lives are anchored by purpose. And not a poetic one, a strategic one. Purpose is not about being happy every second. It is not about pleasure. Pleasure is a distraction. Happiness is fragile. Purpose is what keeps you moving when happiness evaporates. Purpose is the fire that survives when comfort dies. Without it, you are soft clay waiting to be molded by anyone who wishes to control you. With it, you become the sculptor, the commander, the one who molds fate itself. So ask yourself, have you been living with purpose, or have you been living with excuses? Have you been plotting your days like a general prepares for battle, or have you been wandering through them like a beggar hoping for luck? Do not lie to yourself. Be ruthless. Because until you answer with brutal honesty, you will remain a servant to chance. Purpose requires clarity, not vague wishes, not soft promises. Clarity. If you say your purpose is to be successful, that is not a purpose, that is noise. Success is not a purpose, it is a result. Your purpose must be sharper, defined like the edge of a blade. Why do you rise? Why must you continue when others fall? What force compels you to march into the chaos of life when comfort whispers for you to stay in bed? That is your purpose. And once you know it, you wield it like a sword. But clarity is not enough. Purpose requires sacrifice. You cannot have purpose and live as if life is a carnival of pleasures. Every king has given blood. Every empire has been built on sweat. Every great man has walked away from comfort, from distraction, from weakness, in order to serve something greater. Purpose demands that you burn the bridges to mediocrity, that you abandon the excuses that keep you small, that you sever the ties with those who would drag you back into aimlessness. Purpose is not a companion for the faint-hearted. It is a brutal master, but one that forges greatness. And here's the truth that most will never face: the world does not care about your feelings. The world does not care about your excuses. The world bows only to results, to victories, to strength. Purpose is your only weapon against this indifference. Without it, you are nothing but prey. With it, you become a predator. Do not misunderstand. Purpose is not easy. Purpose will test you. It will drag you through fire, through rejection, through isolation. But those are not punishments. They are the rites of passage. They are the crucible through which weakness is burned away, leaving only the steel of who you truly are. When you are aligned with purpose, suffering is no longer suffering, it is fuel. Pain becomes proof that you are still advancing. Struggle becomes the evidence that you are alive and in motion. Think about the men and women who changed history. Do you believe they were driven by comfort? Do you believe they acted only when they felt good? No. They acted when they were tired. They acted when they were broken. They acted when the odds were stacked against them. Why? Because their purpose was greater than their pain. They were not chasing happiness, they were executing the strategy. Purpose is strategy, not poetry. And if you cannot grasp this, you will spend your life waiting for a feeling that never arrives, while those who understand strategy seize what could have been yours. You wake, you breathe, you move, but do you live? To live without purpose is to exist as a shadow. To live with purpose is to carve your name into the stone of history. The weak settle for shadows. The strong demand for stone. Every morning you are handed a battlefield, and the first question that decides victory or defeat is this: do you have a plan, or are you waiting to be told where to stand? Discipline. The very word makes weak men shiver. They hear it and recoil because discipline exposes them. Discipline strips away comfort, excuses, softness. It does not ask you how you feel. It does not care about your moods, your fatigue, or your laziness. Discipline demands action, no matter what stands in the way, and that is why most despise it. They worship comfort. They kneel before distraction. They bow to pleasure. But here is the truth: they refuse to face pleasure enslaves you. Discipline frees you. Look at those who live only for pleasure. They eat without restraint. They drink without control. They indulge in every desire, and then they wonder why they are weak, sick, powerless. They live as slaves to impulse. Their days are dictated not by their will, but by their cravings. And a man who is ruled by cravings is no man at all. He is a puppet, strings pulled by appetite and weakness. Now, look at those who live with discipline. Their mornings are not wasted. Their bodies are strong. Their minds are sharp. Their actions are consistent. They rise when others sleep. They move when others stall. They do not wait for motivation, they command it. They do not chase feelings, they command obedience. And that is why they rule while others beg. That is why they stand tall while others crawl. The world has tricked you into believing that freedom is the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want. But that is not freedom, it is chaos. Real freedom comes from mastery, and mastery only comes through discipline. The man who indulges in every whim is shackled. The man who can deny himself, who can command himself, who can rise even when every bone aches, that man is free. Because nothing controls him. Not hunger, not fatigue, not distraction, not desire. He owns himself completely. Discipline is the architect of greatness. No empire was built on impulse. No kingdom was defended by laziness. No legacy was carved into stone by men who only worked when they felt like it. Discipline is the invisible hand that shapes victories, the unseen force behind every act of mastery. You think warriors become deadly by accident. You think leaders command armies by luck. You think legends rise from bed at noon and drift through their days without structure. No. Their power is forged through repetition, through relentless practice, through the iron laws of discipline. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is often boring, repetitive, and thankless. And that is why so few achieve greatness, because they cannot endure the monotony of mastery. They want quick results. They want immediate pleasure. They want success handed to them like a gift. But life does not hand out crowns. Life crowns only the disciplined. Think of your mornings. How often have you lost the war before the day even began? You stayed in bed. You ignored the alarm. You scrolled through your phone while the sun climbed, wasting the most precious hours of your life. And then you wonder why your days feel chaotic, why your goals remain distant, why your life feels like it is slipping through your hands. It is simple: you lack discipline. You chose the chains of comfort over the sword of freedom. Discipline requires sacrifice. It will strip you of easy pleasures. It will demand that you say no when others say yes. It will force you to endure discomfort, pain, and exhaustion. But every sacrifice sharpens you. Every act of discipline builds a fortress inside your mind, a place where weakness cannot enter. And once that fortress is built, no one can take it from you. Not the world, not circumstance, not even failure. Without discipline, purpose collapses. Without discipline, strategy dies. Without discipline, time devours you. You may have dreams, visions, goals, but without discipline, they are illusions, smoke in the wind. Discipline is the bridge between desire and reality. Without it, nothing you say, nothing you imagine, nothing you wish for will come to life. Most people never understand this. They think discipline is punishment. They think discipline is chains. They say, I don't want to restrict myself. I want to live. But that is the voice of weakness, because the man who rejects discipline is not living. He is slowly dying, dying in mediocrity, dying in regret, dying in the prison of his own impulses. True living is not indulgence. True living is control. True living is the ability to say, I rise when I say I will rise. I act when I say I will act. I conquer what I say I will conquer. That is living power. That is freedom. Discipline sharpens not just your body, but your mind. It forges clarity. It eliminates the fog of indecision. It teaches you to act with precision. Every repetition, every early morning, every sacrifice becomes a blade cutting away weakness. Slowly, you transform. Slowly, you become dangerous. Slowly, you become untouchable. Ask yourself, are you in control of your life, or is your life in control of you? Do you command your days, or do your days command you? Do you act with intent, or do you drift with impulse? The answer will reveal whether you are free or whether you are a prisoner. And here is the truth: discipline is not something you practice when it is convenient. Discipline is not something you switch on and off. Discipline is a way of life. It is woven into every choice, every action, every moment. If you only practice discipline when you feel like it, you have already lost. Discipline begins where feelings end. Discipline begins the moment you are tired, bored, frustrated, or broken. Discipline begins when every fiber of your body tells you to quit, but your mind commands move. That command is the mark of the free. That command is the mark of the master. That command is the mark of those who build empires while others rot in mediocrity. So when you rise tomorrow, remember this: the alarm is not your enemy. The morning is not your burden. The repetition is not your punishment. They are your allies, your tools, your weapons. Every act of discipline is another chain shattered. Every sacrifice is another step toward freedom, because discipline is not chains. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is the highest form of power, the sharpest form of freedom, the only path to mastery, and without it, you will remain a prisoner, bound by the very pleasures you worship. Gratitude, a word so often misused, softened, stripped of its true power. People speak of gratitude as if it were nothing more than a gentle smile, a whisper of thankfulness, a fragile act of politeness. They reduce it to something sentimental, something weak. But gratitude is not weakness. Gratitude is not submission. Gratitude, when understood, is a weapon. It is armor for the spirit, a fortress for the mind, a shield that no enemy can penetrate. The ungrateful live in chains. They are consumed by envy, devoured by resentment, poisoned by bitterness. They look at the success of others and feel robbed, as if life has conspired against them. They curse the storms, they curse the obstacles, they curse the very struggle that was sent to forge them. And because of this, they remain broken, blind, powerless. They live in constant war within themselves, and they lose every single day. But the one who wields gratitude cannot be touched. Gratitude transforms struggle into strength. Gratitude transforms failure into a foundation. Gratitude transforms obstacles into opportunities. When a man can look at the chaos of life, the storms, the betrayals, the losses, and still declare, "This is mine, this is fuel, this is my advantage," then that man becomes unconquerable. Understand this: gratitude is not passive. It is not a quiet thank you note to life. It is an act of defiance. It is looking at the pain that was designed to break you and saying, "I am still here. And because of this pain, I am sharper, I am stronger, I am untouchable." That is gratitude in its truest form, not weakness but war. When you wake in the morning, gratitude should not be a soft whisper. It should be a roar. You declare, "This day is mine, this chance is rare, this life, though fragile, is still in my hands, and I will not waste it." Gratitude is the recognition that every sunrise is a gift, but also a call to arms. Because when you understand that nothing is promised, that every breath is borrowed, then you stop wasting time. You stop complaining, you stop envying, you begin moving with urgency, precision, and fire. Look at those who lack gratitude. They are easy to spot. They complain endlessly. They always see what is missing, never what is present. They sabotage their own victories by focusing on what others have, and because of this, they are never satisfied, never fulfilled, never powerful. They live as victims in blaming everything and everyone, victims of circumstance, victims of time, victims of the world. But gratitude is the cure for victimhood. Gratitude is the weapon that turns victims into victors. Do you want to know why so many people crumble when life turns against them? It is because they never learned gratitude. They only knew how to celebrate when things were easy, when the path was smooth, when the sun was shining. But when storms came, they collapsed. Gratitude teaches you to celebrate the storm. Gratitude teaches you to love the struggle, to embrace the pain, to respect the enemy for making you stronger. And when you live this way, no storm can destroy you, because every storm becomes your training ground. Gratitude is also the antidote to fear. Fear feeds on scarcity, on the belief that you do not have enough, that you are not enough, that the future will betray you. But gratitude kills fear, because gratitude says, "I already have more than I deserve. I already have enough to fight. I already have enough to win." And when you live from that place, fear cannot touch you. It has no soil in which to grow. Think about envy. It is one of the deadliest poisons in the world. Entire kingdoms have fallen to envy, families destroyed, friendships shattered. Envy is the disease of the ungrateful, but gratitude is the cure. Gratitude turns your eyes inward. It reminds you of your own strength, your own weapons, your own blessings. It keeps your focus on what you can build instead of what others have, and in doing so, it liberates you from comparison, freeing you to become dangerous in your own right. Gratitude is also discipline, because gratitude demands action. If you are truly grateful for the day, you will not waste it. If you are truly grateful for your health, you will not poison it. If you are truly grateful for your opportunities, you will not squander them. Gratitude that does not lead to action is counterfeit. Real gratitude drives you forward. Real gratitude commands you to rise. So when you wake, do not just list what you are thankful for like a ritual with no fire. Do not treat gratitude as a soft exercise. Gratitude must be embodied. Gratitude must be proven. If you say you are grateful for life, then live like it. If you say you are grateful for your strength, then sharpen it. If you say you are grateful for your chances, then seize them. Otherwise, your words mean nothing. The powerful understand this. The greatest leaders, warriors, and builders in history were fueled by gratitude. They did not complain about the size of their obstacles. They gave thanks for the struggle because they knew it was shaping them into legends. They gave thanks for their enemies because those enemies forced them to sharpen their blades. They gave thanks for the days they were broken because those days forged resilience. Gratitude was not weakness to them, it was fuel. Ask yourself, are you wielding gratitude or are you wasting it? Are you using it as a shield against fear, envy, and despair, or are you letting those poisons devour you? Do you wake up and declare the gift of life is yours, or do you wake up complaining that it is not enough? Do not lie to yourself, because if you live without gratitude, you are already defeated. But the moment you claim gratitude, the moment you choose to see every breath is borrowed, every sunrise is a gift, every struggle is fuel, you become a weapon in this world, and weapons do not crumble, weapons do not bow. Weapons do not surrender. Gratitude is not for the weak. Gratitude is for the warriors who understand that life owes them nothing and yet gives them everything. Gratitude is for the kings and queens who know that every obstacle is a crown in disguise. Gratitude is for those who are ready to rise, ready to fight, ready to seize every moment as though it were their last. Gratitude is your shield. Gratitude is your armor. Gratitude is your weapon. And once you wield it, you cannot be conquered. So here we stand at the end of this truth. Time is ruthless. Purpose is strategy. Discipline is freedom. Gratitude is a weapon. These are not philosophies for the weak. These are not ideas for idle debate. These are weapons for war. The war you fight every single day. Every sunrise is an opportunity, but also a warning. The clock is ticking. Your life is draining. The sand in your glass is falling grain by grain. You do not know how much remains, and you will never get back what has already fallen. If you understand this, you cannot wake without urgency. You cannot move without a strategy. You cannot live without discipline. You cannot survive without gratitude. This is not about motivation. Motivation fades, feelings betray you. Comfort weakens you. This is about building an unshakable foundation, a way of living that makes you untouchable, the one who commands time, who moves with purpose, who masters discipline, who wields gratitude. Such a person cannot be broken. They cannot be stopped. They cannot be conquered. Ask yourself, will you rise tomorrow as a prisoner of weakness or as a commander of your destiny? Will you waste another sunrise or will you claim it as the gift it is? Will you live as a beggar or as a conqueror? The choice is yours. The battlefield awaits. The clock is already ticking. Wake up with purpose, because every day is a gift, and only the ruthless know how to use it.